Yes, the series is doing very badly on views on my channel, I'm still going to review it because I need Marvel content badly since it's the only Marvel series I'm reviewing besides Carnage, Black, White, and Blood, which I'm ridiculously behind on. Well, kinda. There's only 2 issues left of the series and I only reviewed half of it so far. I kind of dropped off because the stories were offshoots, while I found some of them really interesting, except for that shark one. I really did not like the shark one. It wasn't enough to keep me hooked, especially since it's an older series, therefore I could just review it anytime I want to and start over again, which I probably will do eventually after I'm done other series on this channel. But for now, I will probably wait until I'm at least done Crime Syndicate or Justice League Infinity to pick up Carnage, Black, White, and Blood. This issue starts off where the last one ended. She-Hulk is at work being scolded by her boss, Mallory, about how she needs clients, but this being only her second day. She-Hulk then gets to meet her old coworker Andy, the awesome android, who, like it sounds, is an android. But they're directed by Mallory, who keeps telling them that their gossip is on their own time. To gossip on their own time. That I phrased that very interestingly. So, hours later, She-Hulk is sitting at her desk looking for a client until she gets a call from the Thing from the Fantastic Four saying he needs a lawyer since he's been summoned. Thing is talking about something serious, only for Thing to tell her that it was actually because he didn't put Lockjaw on a leash, which She-Hulk debates with him over how he should have paid a ticket, but ends the call telling him that she's up to meet later to give him advice. Afterwards, she gets a call from Quicksilver because he got a speeding ticket, which I have to say made me chuckle a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. I know it's low-hanging fruit, but I liked it. After work, Shell brings pizza home for her and Jack of Hearts, like she promised last issue. Jack tries to talk about the old days of him nearly killing her, but Shell doesn't want a pity party, changing things to pizza. Jack then admits to claim how that he died feeling sorry for what he did to Jen, which is wrong. Which is the reason why I don't believe it's Jack, because he died thinking that he was a failure to his dad. I remember that. Maybe it's a retcon, but the fact that making a point and show Jack has a stalker aboard, I'm going to say he's just trying to attempt to get in Jen's life. Jack goes through the story as Jen takes notes about this story, which I think is going to be how he finds, or how she'll find out that this isn't really him. Jack then starts to explain his origin, which Jen then points out how it sounds almost like he is reading this off a wiki page, which I think is another clue that this isn't Jack. He covers up by saying that it's just because Tony has told all his entire story to him, and that he doesn't actually know it. But it's noticeable that Jen is suspicious of Jack, and that she doesn't necessarily believe his whole cover-up saying, "Oh, Tony told me this," or told me Toby. Let's go, Tony Toby. How Tony told me that. But Jack then changes the conversation about Jen's confidence, going deep into the emotions, which makes Jen sad since she had been sad with She-Hulk for a while, which she still has trauma from, as she wasn't in control of her own, actions. She-Hulk remarks about how she always admires his costume while making jokes about pizza. Jack tests out his powers and She-Hulk stands back to watch, where we learn Jen also knew about the time Jack came back as a zombie, which for some reason she decides to hold the information from Jack. Jen leaves Jack in the washroom as he asks to go poo, to make a quick call to her best friend HELLCAT, who's also Tony's fiance at the time, to ask her about Jack. And at this time, HELLCAT is actually Jen's best friend, which after this phone call, I don't understand why. While Jen is trying to ask her what she remembers of him, she's constantly changing the conversation to literally anything else, talking about how she thought Jack was really hot despite the fact he died, how she makes very sexual comments about dominance, which is just weirds me out, and She-Hulk too. Is this just a thing everyone does with her? They cut her off mid-sentence and forcefully change the conversation to something uncomfortable? Because so far, this has happened 3 times in this comic, with Mallory, Jack, and HELLCAT. Although to be fair, Mallory was telling her to get to work, which I get because it's her boss. But what's Jack and HELLCAT's excuses? I mean, maybe Jack's a clone, but why is HELLCAT pushing this so hard? The call ends with Jen learning nothing but the fact that HELLCAT thinks Jack is hot and some sexual fantasy she has of him. The issue ends with Jack wearing Jen's clothes, since he needs to change, which I thought was a nice twist on the saying a girl wearing a big shirt of her boyfriend, reversing it that he's wearing a big shirt of hers. Now onto the characters. I really like Jen. She came across just like as if she was someone who's trying to get by in a world that is just bonkers with superheroes. One of which she is herself, which in this issue and this series so far, it doesn't seem like she's so sure of that anymore. Which I can understand seeing her trauma of being Savage She-Hulk for such a long time. She's unsure if she's really a hero anymore, which I think is very compelling for her character. I've always really liked She-Hulk. I've seen a lot of hate online for the upcoming She-Hulk Disney Plus show, which kind of disappoints me that so many people are so negative towards her, saying that she's quote unquote a female Hulk, which is couldn't be more incorrect. She is a lot more than just a female Hulk. Just from this issue alone, you can really tell just how different she is from her cousin. Her cousin isn't even mentioned in the series yet so far, which doesn't even come across as weird, because She-Hulk can stay on her own without Hulk. And in my opinion, when she does stand on her own without Bruce, it comes across as just natural. Yes, the two can help each other at times, but they don't have to. And personally, I really like this comic so far, especially with She-Hulk's perspective on the world itself. Jack, on the other hand, I think is acting way too suspicious. I still think he's a clone. Meanwhile, HELLCAT and the Thing came across very out of character, as HELLCAT still thought Jack was dead, and all she talked about was how she thought he was hot. I mean, I suppose it's not technically out of character for HELLCAT. She has said some really weird stuff in the past, so I guess it's not entirely too weird for her to say that. But still, I think it's a little too far. While Thing, in my opinion, was although a little off character, he was still depicted in a believable fashion, where you can actually think, yeah, maybe Thing would actually say this thing. Like, yeah, it's a little out there, but it doesn't come across as too out there like HELLCAT's lines. I was very, very surprised with some of HELLCAT's lines. I can't believe that was added this comic. I mean, I understand that they were trying to go for more comedic effort in HELLCAT's character, but in all reality, I feel like Jen just seemed like she wanted to punch HELLCAT in the face during the entire phone call. Like, she looked so annoyed, and with the entire comments of like, okay, let's go back to talking about Jack. Very clearly, feels like Jen just generally isn't like HELLCAT, which is funny to me because just before the whole call happens, Jen references HELLCAT as being her best friend. And that's it for this video. How do you like this comic so far? Like I said, I'm really enjoying it. Except for those HELLCAT panels. Like, what were those? And either way, I still really enjoy this comic. What are your thoughts on it? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Leave that all down below, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.